coming back, a whole big group, and running into the village and breaking the windows and going into each house, taking the men to sell them as slaves and the women to be maids, and take all the way to put the houses in fire. And all of a sudden Rabbi Akiva understands that if he would sleep in the village, he would be taken away from his family forever. If he would have the rooster, they would find him in the middle of the night, because when they passed by him, they passed actually next to him. The rooster would cry or the donkey would make noise. So actually he understood that Hashem saved his life by taking away everything that he had in order for him to be able to go back to his family. So that's why from that story, that's the Talmud says, he always said to people, Gam zu letovah, whatever Hashem does is for the better. Now, did something negative happen to him?
Yes.
Yes, there was a loss. But it was worth it to lose that in order to gain something that is greater. So it's a good deal. So in any time, he would ask, shall I take away your donkey? Shall I take away your cattle? Shall I take away your rooster? For sure, take it away. Save me, that's no question. But
some struggles and some losses are greater than that.
Okay.
So it's really...
Okay.
It's a struggle.
So, but that's one... That's one...
Very, very hard. The best.
Okay, but this story is definitely a good deal.
Yes.
So we can understand, maybe if we try to understand, there is a way that if we calculate the amount of negative that we have, maybe if we put it on our weight, it's worth it. It's worth it. If the trade-off is good enough, then let it be.
And I think maybe sometimes the trade-off is not in your life, and you just a part of
Oh,
the chain.
wow.
So to save me, it took away other people.
Yeah.
It didn't save other people. So if something bad happened to me, I would say, okay, it's probably because other people need to be saved.
I don't know. I'm just saying that this is one solution. We are trying to find a way to accept. And it's very difficult to accept when it's painful and it's bad. So, and the answer is, maybe you gained something greater. And
the greater is you gain something. I don't know if it's greater, but you don't know the chain of reaction that will happen from something.
Beautiful.
So
Okay.
you can just
Okay.
assume that something will good come out of it.
So-
Greater, I don't know.
Gam zu letova means that you say about something negative that it is positive in the way of Rabbi Akiva. Sometimes we don't know the end of the story, but he saw the end of the story, and that's why he told us the end of the story, that if we would have known the total picture, we would say Gam zu letova. That's one way. The other way is text 6, if you may, Edith.
No.
Okay, so we're going back to you, if you may.
People refer to Nahum Ish Gamzu
Gamzu.
guy because whatever happened to him, he would respond Gamzu Letova. This is also for the good. Once the Jews needed to send a gift to the Caesar, they told each other who should go to Rome bearing the gift on our behalf. Let us send Nahum Ish Gamzu because he regularly experienced.
She can't stop herself. She
What?
says, every time it says Gamzu,
I wouldn't
she
say-
says Gamzu Letova.
Right, because that was
His
the
name
Hebrew.
is because he always says, we have in Israel a place that is called Gamzu, or Rehov Gamzu. Yes, Gamzu, it's Gamzu, it's not Gimzu. It looks like Gimzu, it doesn't make sense, but they called, in Israel, the street names, the first name is in small letters, and the last name is in big. So when it says Rehov Trumpeldor, the first name is not, or Rehov Allenby, the first name. Gamzu is Rabbi Nachum. Rabbi Nachum is in little letters, and then big letters says Gamzu, Rehov Gamzu. So in Tel Aviv there is a Rehov Gamzu. Why was he called Nachum Ish Gamzu? Because he always says Gamzu Letova.
That's how I hear the expression for years and years.
So she cannot stop herself. She says, whenever it says Gamzu, it says Gamzu Letova. No, his last name is Gamzu. Why is it last name? Because he always said Gamzu Letova. Yes.
Because he regularly experienced miracles. They sent him off with a chest full of precious stones and jewels. On his way, he stopped at an inn for the night. During the night, the innkeepers removed all his precious stones and jewels and refilled the chest with soil. The next morning, Nahum realized what had happened, but he simply declared, "This is also for the good." When he arrived at Caesar's palace and presented his gift on behalf of the Jewish nation, they opened the chest and saw that it was filled with soil. "The Jews are mocking me," warned the Caesar. He was about to execute Nahum and the Jews who accompanied him, but Nahum simply declared, "This is also for the good." Elijah the prophet suddenly appeared before the Caesar disguised as one of his ministers. He told the Caesar, "Perhaps the soil is the kind that their ancestor Abraham used in battle." He threw the earth at the enemy's armies, and it turned into swords that fell upon his opponents. He threw stubble, and it turned into arrows. The Caesar was eager to try it out. There was a province that the Romans were unable to conquer. They tested the soil by throwing it at their enemies, and thereby conquered that province. In gratitude, the Caesar instructed that Nahum's chest be refilled with precious stones and jewels from the royal treasury. They sent him back home with great honor.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's another story in the Talmud. Seems like that it's very similar. I'll say the story in short. Just to review, it was in Israel, it was in a terrible time when the rulers of Israel were very vicious to the Jewish people. And they always came up with new decrees and new taxes and new hardships that they impressed upon us. So in the last chance, they sent Rabbi Nachum, because he was able to speak the language, with a chest full of the last jewelry of all the Jewish women in their time. He went to sleep on the way, and the robbers came to his hotel room. They knew that he is going with something special, and they took away the box of the jewels and put dirt instead, in order for him not to feel it. He got up in the morning, he didn't know from anything, it was weighing the same way, and he went to the ruler. Ruler opens it, and it's dirt. So he says, "What, making fun of me? I'm going to put him to death." So one of the advisors says, "It doesn't make sense. The Jews are not people that are looking to get you in trouble. It must be something special. Maybe it's from the Abraham sand that he threw at his enemies, and it became arrows and stones, and he won the war with it." So he says, "Well, maybe." He took it to, he was in a constant war with other countries. He took it to the first line, he threw that dust, and it became arrows, and he won the war. So he says, "Oh wow, the Jews have, secret weapons." He came back, and he gave Rabbi Nachum from his treasury full of good stones and jewels. Now, on the way back, he slept in the same place, and everybody's asking, he came back alive from the palace? We took his jewels, the thieves are there. We took the jewels and we put dirt. He says, "Yeah, but it was special dirt. They hear that we won the war because of the dirt of Rabbi Nachum. Everybody in the news says Rabbi Nachum saved our country from war once." So they said, "You know what? Let me go to the defense minister and tell him we know where the dirt is coming from. It's not from Rabbi Nachum. We put it there." So they took him in. Says, "Let me try." He threw the dirt. Nothing happened. So not only that Rabbi Nachum came back with a full chest of jewels, the thieves were prosecuted, they were hung because of the stealing of his jewels, and everything came in place. So his expression was Gam zu letova. Rabbi Akiva says everything that God does, it's for the good. Kol man David Rachmana letav Avid. And this is Gam zu letova. It sounds exactly the same or similar, but there is a difference between the two expressions. What is the difference? Anybody can suggest?
If you look to the word, כל מה שעושה עבד רחמן לטביד, whoever does Hashem does it for the good, means that the action itself is not necessarily good as at the moment. כל מה שעושה לטביד for the good. But when אנחנו look at it, גם זו means this itself לטובה.
And that's what we're looking for. That's exactly the difference. Is it bad that it's going to bring good? Or this itself looks like to us as good, bad, but really that's our saying. This is good. By Rabbi Nachum, the fact that they stole his jewels was maybe the point of saving everybody, because another box of Jews wouldn't bribe the king to give the Jewish people let go of all the bad decrees. Maybe it wasn't enough. So the miracle was that when the Jews were taken away, this helped. This itself, the accident, the loss of the Jews was the beginning of the good. It is good. And the Rebbe explains it. If you may read it in text 7, please.
Text 7. This is a distinction between the stories of Rabbi Akiva and Nachum Ish Ganzu. Rabbi Akiva suffered loss and pain. He lost his donkey and rooster. He sat in the dark and he spent the night in the field. True, it was for the sake of a positive outcome, but the experience itself was painful. By contrast, Nachum Ish Ganzu never suffered any harm. To the contrary, if he had presented precious stones and jewels, it is uncertain whether the Caesar would have valued the gift. After all, there was no shortage of precious stones in the royal treasury. The soil that he brought, on the other hand, was indeed greatly appreciated. Rabbi Akiva endured hardship, but that hardship spared him from far greater hardship. Nachum Ish Ganzu's experience was itself a positive one.
Okay. So we have two takes on suffering and pain. One is that this will bring to good. A woman that gives birth goes through the most painful experience that a human being has. The pain is the greatest. And still, women get pregnant and give birth every day, again and again and again. How can you do it? It's so sadistic. If you're screaming and you're shouting and you're very close to lose your life sometimes. This is not a game. And they get pregnant again. What are you, bringing upon yourself pain once and twice and 3 times? And what is going on? So maybe we can save it. It's in our hand. People, this is something that you have control over. Why you bring yourself pain? It's worth it. The pain is worth the child that will be born. And a person makes the calculation and it says it's all good. That's the only way to get a child. I'm going to go through it. Is it not good? Are you sadistic? Are you bringing upon yourself something that is so bad? No. If when you wait, it comes out that it's worth to suffer for this good that comes out, and that's the only way to get there, then it's all good. But, truthfully speaking, there is pain. But if you have the right attitude, you accept the pain in a positive way. This is Rabbi Akiva way. That there's pain and bad, but it's worth the gain. Nachumi's Gamzu way is that there's no pain at all. It's true that I lost and there were thieves and they took away the Jews and it looks like a catastrophic tragedy, but that's the only way. That itself is good. That's a higher level. To take something that if you ask everyone around, they'll tell you it's bad, but because you know deeper the story and the end of the story, then there's no pain at all. There's no tragedy at all. There's no bad event in the middle. That's two takes. In the first take, there is pain that brings to greater gain, and the second take is that the pain is in disguise. It's really good. This itself is good. These are the two takes. Let's see if we can go to a new place that is even deeper. And text 8 is taking us to a new place to say that maybe we have to a new understanding about pain and suffering in the world. And this is the continuation of the same chapter in Tanya. I'm sorry, Rabbi Yossi, we missed you, so I went to, if you may read text 8. Page 155.
I'll say the Hebrew first. Ki gamzu letova, the bad things or the negative things that happens, רק שאינה נגלית ונראית לעיני בשר. כי היא מעל מדי סקסיה שלמעלה מעל מדי התגליה. For this is also for the good, except that this is not apparent and visible to modern eyes, because it still stems from a hidden world that is higher than the revealed world.
Okay, we said that we are a child to God that came to Him in a later age, and He is a parent that we are His only child. So everything that He does is good. Now, the child by nature is going to want certain things. His good, his definition of good is in his world. He wants candy. He wants games and play. He wants to watch shows and movies. He wants to sleep till late. He does not want to go to school. He doesn't want to do homework. Okay, that's good. There's no child that doesn't have that understanding what good is all about. There's no child that doesn't think that. You want him to eat spinach. You want him to go to bed at 7 o'clock in the evening. You want him to wake up at 6:30 in the morning. You want him to go to school and to listen to the teacher and to play only in the recess and to be nice to all his friends and to work very hard and succeed in the test. Listen, you want to convince the child that you want his good? Don't sit him down and says, really, I want you good. The only way to accomplish what you think is good for him is by not giving him a choice. As long as you're going to talk to him, you're going to make it worse and worse and worse, because he is going to talk you into giving in. He knows what he wants. So what do we do as parents? And we know that, and we know, and it's every day happening. You are going to do what I told you is good for you. And even if you don't understand what is good for you, tough luck. I am responsible adult, and I've been through that, and that's what you're going to do. And you're going to thank me one day, even though but now you're crying, and now you think that I'm mean. And it bothers me a little bit, but it's okay with me because I have experience. And lack of discipline is only going to create children that are going to be monstrous. There's not two ways in the world about it. The only way is the children of very difficult condition, poor children that really they don't have what to have, and they sometimes rise to the occasion of understanding that they need to be better. But at a certain age, there's no two ways about it. So if there is a higher authority and there's a lower authority, there's a higher intelligence and higher experience and lower experience, it happens a lot of times that one will understand the good and will have to force it down the throat of the one that is in a lower position. A teacher to a student, a parent to his child, and I don't know, Hashem to us. Hashem knows what's the best. He has some kind of a plan, and he has some kind of how he wants us to come out. And that's what it takes to come out, which means like that. How can I explain it? I mean, we all agree. When we read the portion of the week and we read with the Jewish people, Hashem chose us to be His nation. Hashem created the world for us. And Hashem said, okay, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are my favorites. And their children are going to get my Torah, and they are going to go into the land of Israel. And that's a promise. And then what does it do? As soon as Yaakov has 12 children and they become a bigger family of 70, he says, now it's the time to become my nation. How? Go down to Egypt and be their slaves for 210 years. Thank you. Are you serious? Well, are you in Gamzulet? How? Is that the portion of the week?
Yeah, but I don't.
We are chosen for what?
Jews want to know that all the time.
Yes. But what can we do? If you want to go serve in the army, you have to go through a training period. And a person that wants to serve his country in a special way, he wants to go to a special unit, the elite unit, he goes double the time in training and double the difficulty in the exercises.
So basically, the slavery, these generations, they were just a korban on the greater goods of God's food.
Okay, so
that's how you
very
see
good,
yourself?
very good question. Very good question.
That's what I said, not in your lifetime, so...
Very good question. Okay, so she is asking that the generations that stayed, born in Egypt and stayed in Egypt, didn't see the redemption, didn't receive the Torah, never went into the land of Israel. So are they sacrificed? Are they got only the bad? I understand the ones that came out, so they've been, let's say, 40 years slaves and then 40 years eating.
Learning about it. Nice.
Yes, something.
In the Holocaust, the same thing. They were just like, what?
Wow.
For us to be here now talking about it?
Very good.
That's stuff that it's hard to reconcile. It's not all for the best.
Very good. Okay. But for my example, for our point here, that it could be as parents, as teachers, as a trainer, as an officer in the army, we know that in order for the country to have a good units of defense, we need to get these boys a very difficult time. And we will be defended. Some of them will die.
So the answer is yes.
Some of them will die. But the country will be protected. And these, the ones that go to these units know that. And they decide to suffer, and they decide sometimes to sacrifice their life. And sometimes the incident that they are killed is also by choice, which means if they jump on the grenade in order for other ones not to be hurt, it's a choice. It's a painful choice, but we see that for them the good or worthy, they are proud of it. They are not doing it because they're thinking they're doing a bad act. They're definitely doing an act of heroism. So I think that if, for example, we look at the women in Egypt, the Torah tells us a whole story that in their merit we had children. Why? Because the husbands lost faith. And they didn't want to bring children into slavery and to conditions like that. And the women enticed them. And it says a whole story, a romantic story, that they went to the river with 2 buckets and brought water and warmed the water and cooked the fish that they brought in the other bucket and came to bring them lunch to the field. And tachat tapuach orarticha, that they told them, here, wash yourself, take away from the hard work, feel comfortable, eat well, and after they ate well, they enticed them to have children. So בזכות נשים צדקניות יצאו אבותינו ממצרים. So for them, they understood that even the suffering, even some of these people didn't see the light in the end of the tunnel, being in the tunnel because it is an inevitable part of the journey. They saw the bigger picture and saw that these children are going to come out on the other side and they will see the light. So to bring them to the world and have all these difficult conditions and have them being slaves is worthwhile. Again, I don't know what is more satisfying in the end of the day. We already concluded that material pleasures are not, the definition of good is only being comfortable, watching TV all day in an air-conditioned room and sitting in a sofa, I don't know, all kinds of gadgets and all kinds of movies, is that really what, and not worrying about the bank and not worrying about, what is the real picture? The real picture is that these women brought children into slavery knowing that there is a greater picture. So when they were screaming by giving birth from pain, it's like the craziest picture. It's not in a hospital, it's in Egypt, being slaves, giving birth to children as slaves when the husbands are at work and not able to even support them, and they are in the greatest pain in the world, and they feel that they have a purpose. This is the ultimate pleasure in the world.
The best way to show us where we are now, to get us
Yes.
where we are now.
To where we are, yes.
It's all what we've been through.
Right. So we are part of the journey. We didn't arrive yet. So if we are thinking that there's a greater purpose and we are only one piece of the great puzzle, it's a completely different look of what we are going through. And sometimes the pain is really the satisfying part of the total picture of our life, because a person likes to contribute and take away from himself, as long as he feels that he made it. Because of him it happened, and even not in a selfish way, rather in the mission oriented. And that's what we're talking about, that we have two souls, and one soul wants the egocentric one, the one that wants our pleasure and everything to be comfortable, and the other one that is mission oriented and is selfless. But the other soul is the only one that we are going to be driving satisfaction from. So hidden good is greater than revealed good. Candy is revealed good. And getting a good mark on the test is, the way to get to it is a very hidden good way. I mean, you have to go to sleep in time and eat healthy and wake up early and review your material before you go to school in the morning and at night late before you go to sleep. It's a terrible way, but in the end, this is the only way that you really enjoy it. So, if we can say that whatever is revealed good is very simplistic, low-level good in the eyes of a lower entity, and the revealed good and the hidden good is good in a way that is much deeper, much more meaningful. It's in the higher level, the giver level of good, and it is to be appreciated that way. So I just want to say, if that is our take, the take of Rabbi Akiva is that there is good bad in the world. There is bad in the world, but bad comes from God, so it's for a purpose of greater good. But when bad comes to us, according to Rabbi Akiva, when bad things happen to us, are we accepting it, or are we looking forward to it, or are we just saying, yes, it's okay because I'm expecting something greater to happen. This itself I wish not to happen. In Rabbi Nachum is Gamzu, there's no bad in the world. Everything is good. And to page 137. Today is again another emotion of sadness and tragedy and pain that we need to find a way to put in perspective in order for it not to be so strong. Go ahead, Alan, if you may read lesson 4.
Lesson 4, peering through the pain, addressing pain, anguish, and anxiety.
Okay.
Harsh reality can bring genuine suffering and sadness, swiftly deflating the most optimistic attitudes. Well-meaning reminder that time heals, or that God knows what is best, do little to heal the searing pain of open wounds. This lesson explores methods of shifting our internal perspectives to allow the sun to shine in our lives, despite the stark reality of our suffering.
Okay. So reality sometimes is not so happy, and we need to deal with it. We need to make sure that every day the sun shines. So how do we send away the clouds? How do we make sure that nothing is covering the sunshine? but it is a very good analogy, because we know that the fact is, doesn't matter winter or summer, a cloudy day, a rainy day, a snowing day, the sun shines the same way every day. The difference is what's in between us and the sun. How far is it? When it gets further away, it's not so hot. When it gets closer, it is summer. And also the cloudiness. So if knowing that the sun is there all the time, it sounds like that it's secondary. It's in our hand in a way to get the sunshine every day and be able to chase away the clouds and to be able to remain optimistic, or more than that, happy every day. Story in text number 1. This is a story about Rabbi Zusha. Rabbi Zusha is a name for the Hasidim. And it is starting from this Rabbi Zusha Me'anipoli, that was a very pious and humble and understated guy. So please, text 1. Alan.
Text 1. A man once came to Rabbi Dov Ber, the famous Maggid of Mezerich, with a question. The Talmud tells us, asked the man, that a person is supposed to bless God for the bad, just as he blesses him for the good. How is this humanly possible? How can a human being possibly react to what he experiences bad in exactly the same way he responds to what he experiences as good? How can a person be grateful for his troubles as he is for his joys? Rabbi Dov Ber replied, to find an answer to your question, you must go see my disciple, Reb Zusha of Nepali. Only he can help you in this matter. Reb Zusha received his guest warmly and invited him to make himself at home. The visitor decided to observe Rabbi Zusha's conduct before posing his question. Before long, he concluded that his host truly exemplified the Talmudic dictum which so puzzled him. He couldn't think of anyone who suffered more hardship in his life than Rabbi Zusha did. A frightful pauper, there was never enough to eat in Rabbi Zusha's home, and his family was beset with all sorts of afflictions and illness. Yet, Rabbi Zusha was always good-humored and cheerful, and constantly expressed his gratitude to the Almighty for all his kindness. But what is the secret? How does he do it? The visitor finally decided to pose his question. So one day he said to his host, I wish to ask you something. In fact, this is the purpose of my visit to you. Our Rebbe advised me that you should provide me with the answer. What is your question? asked Reb Zusha. The visitor repeated what he had asked of the Maggid. You raise a good point, said Zusha, after thinking the matter through.
Okay. So I'll say the story in Hebrew if I may. Can I read it in Hebrew? Is it going to help us connect a little bit? I think the Hebrew is פעם ניגש אדם לרבי דוב בר, המגיד ממזריץ' ושאלה בפיו. בתלמוד כתוב, חייב אדם לברך על הרעה כשם שמברך על הטובה. איך זה יכול להיות ברמה האנושית? הוא שאל אותו, רבי. תגיד לי, כיצד יכול בן אדם להגיב כשקורה לו משהו רע, בדיוק באותו אופן שהוא מגיב כשקורה משהו שהוא חווה כמשהו לא, כמו טוב? כיצד יכול אדם להיות אסיר תודה על קשייו כמו על שמחותיו? הרבי ענה לו, רבי דוב בר, כדי לקבל מענה לשאלתך, לך לראות את תלמידי, רבי זושה מהניפולי. רק הוא יוכל לענות לך תשובה לשאלה הזאת. הוא הלך ומצא בית מאוד עני. רבי זושה קיבל את האורח בחום והזמין אותו לשבת ולהרגיש בנוח. האורח החליט להתבונן בהנהגתו של רבי זושה לפני ששאל אותו את שאלתו. לאחר זמן לא רב הוא הגיע למסקנה שהמארח שלו חי בקשיים רבים. והוא חי לפי מה שבאמת הוא מודה להשם, הוא לא מתלונן. והוא לא הכיר הבן אדם שחי בכזה עוני. עני מרוד, לא היה פת לחם בביתו, משפחתו סבלה ממחלות, והוא היה תמיד שמח וטוב לב. והביע הכרת טוב לקדוש ברוך הוא על כל מה שעשה. אז הוא הבין למה הרבי שלח אותו אליו. אך מהו הסוד שלו? איך הוא עושה את זה? הוא קיבל אומץ ושאל את רב זושה, תל מרב זושה, איך אתה יכול לקבל את הרע כשם שאתה מקבל את הטובה? הרבי, אז הוא אומר, אני לא מבין את השאלה. אז הוא אמר לו, אתה יודע מה? הרבי שלח אותי אליך שתענה לי. אז הוא אומר, אליי? לי לא היה אף פעם לא טוב בחיים. אני לא יודע על מה אתה מדבר. אני מתפלא. So, what do you think? How did he do it?
I don't
He never
think...
knew there is better.
Okay,
That
okay,
he already has.
okay.
He never knew that there is better than
Okay,
that. So
okay.
he wasn't.
That's one way of looking at it. He was born all his life. He never looked at the next door neighbor. He never looked at the big city when there's riches and big houses and golden chariots. He never knew. He was born in this village and he lived in the village, and that's what he accepted. You think that's the answer?
No.
Usually a person gets used to what he has and he always wants better. Even the richest person, if he's not satisfied, then he's not going to be satisfied. If he's satisfied, it's something from within, I mean to say. Either you are a person that's samech b'chelko, the Mishnah says like that. Eizu gibor, who is the mighty one? Hakovesh et yitzro, the one that is able to suppress his evil inclination. Who is respected one? The one that respects others. Eizu mechubad mechabed et habriot. And when the Mishnah is asking Eizu ashir, who is the rich one? The one that is happy with his lot. So it's true what you say. He was happy with his lot, but to say just that he never knew from anything else, it's very this Rab Zusha was traveling the whole world, and that was part of his tzadikut. He was a traveling rabbi. He took upon himself exile, and he and his brother were traveling from place to place. So they saw better. And they knew that they are not in the highest caliber. They knew that they are missing the basics. And even if it's for himself, he doesn't care, but he has a wife and children. How can he accept it for them?
Because he believed that what he had is what he's supposed to have, and what doesn't have, then
In one point,
But
I think.
being truthful, this is a very difficult level.
That's why
So either
כולם מצליחים להגיע.
right. But we are trying. The Rebbe sent a person to Rab Zusha to find out how come he's happy with his lot. And Rab Zusha told him, I never missed anything.
הוא לא ראה את הרע?
He said that he didn't understand the question.
There's levels, no, גם if you stay שמח בחלקו, there's levels.
נכון, אבל ברגע שאתה שמח בחלקך,
So, how did he get to a level that he didn't even realize he's missing? שמח, it's like he has everything. In the same level that he has everything, he's happy. I think that's the...
הוא גילה את הסוד.
כן, אוקיי. So, okay, very good. So some people will say that Rab Zusha was oblivious. He didn't care. Okay? Passive person. Whatever, they are passive, and it's a very aggressive way of going through life. That you have no, whatever I have is good. Yeah, in a way, it's a very mean way. It's mean.
How?
It's mean because you are passive. Passive for yourself is okay, but passive for your children and family is unacceptable. You need to be proactively wanting to better their life. Then there is a way that he didn't know, but the truth is, the question that was asked is even deeper. Accepting is one way. So for good, I accept good, and I say thank you. For bad, I accept bad, and I say, what can I do? You cannot say the same thing for both. The Mishnah says like that, חייב אדם לברך על הרעה כשם שמברך על הטובה. The Mishnah says that the blessing for the good should be the same blessing. You should accept the good as well as you accept the bad as well as you accept the good. So the Talmud is asking, listen to that. The Talmud is asking, how can you, it's not the same. חייב אדם לברך על הרעה כשם שמברך על הטובה. On good things we say שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. We say ברוך אתה השם הטוב והמיטיב. For good things you have a blessing for good. And when bad things happen you say ברוך דיין האמת. When a tragedy happens you say you are the judge of truth, which means you're accepting it, but you're not enthusiastic about it, and you're not saying that it's even good. It's justice. Justice sometimes is not so well-tasting. So the Talmud is asking, if it's two separate brachot, how come the Mishnah is saying, חייב אדם כשם שמברך על הטובה, כך מברך על הרע? The Talmud is answering unbelievable answer. And it says that the words are different, but lekabel besimcha, you have to accept with joy, you have to do both. The good and the bad with the same joy. And that's what he saw in Rab Zusha. That's what he asked him, how can it be? He says, go see Rab Zusha. Rab Zusha had bad. And Rab Zusha was very happy, not passive. He was trying his best. He was probably going every morning to the market and coming back with something. But it did not catch, and all the efforts didn't make his livelihood better. And despite that, he stayed happy and optimistic and upward. How can it be? So this is what we are going to try to understand in this. And it is a question in Tanya, and let's see in the Tanya, in the chapter 26, in that small book that we have, if you may read it for us in text 2.
The following is advice on cleansing one's heart of all sadness and every trace of worry about mundane matters, even about one's family's health and livelihood. There is a well-known statement of our sages. Just as we bless God for the good, so we should bless Him for the misfortune. Mishnah Brachot 9.5. The Talmud Brachot 60b explains that we should accept misfortune with joy in the same way that we rejoice over visible and overt goodness.
So this is the question. The question is, how can it be in the same joy? So let's go to text 3a and 3c. 3a and 3b, which tells us from the prophets, from the Tanakh, two verses that are telling us the beginning of the answer. Go ahead, Mirav, 3a and 3b.
God's message to Israel, delivered by Malachi. I love you, says God.
Okay.
God appeared to remind me of the love He showed our ancestors in Egypt long ago, and He instructed me to deliver the following message. My love for you is eternal. I therefore extend to you my
Loving kindness.
loving kindness.
You see a little bit of a difference between the two psukim? What?
אחד נגלה, אחד לא.
Very good. One is a revealed good, and one is far away. There is some kind of a love that, although it's the same love and it's promising us, I don't do anything but love you, but sometimes it is further to imagine. It doesn't look on the surface that it is love. And text 3, see if you may, Mirav, the Baal Shem Tov, which is the founder of the Hasidic movement, said like that. Go ahead.
God's love for each of us individually is comparable to the love that elderly parents have for their only child who was born to them in their later years, and even greater than that.
Okay.
כמו שבא אחרי שנים.
Wow.
ויותר מזה.
So we have a parable here. We have a picture. God is a little older than we can imagine, and we are His little children, and we are born to Him at a later age. And I think it says Ben Yachid, the only child.
single.
Each one of us could walk around saying, I'm the only child of God, the master of the universe. It's a great feeling. The question is to feel that way. But this is a promise. This is the way we need to look at it. It's an only son that was born in the later years and is very precious. And the Tanya in text 4 is putting it together to go ahead.
The Talmud explained that we should accept misfortune with joy, in the same way that we rejoice over visible and over goodness. For the misfortune is likewise for the good, although its goodness is not apparent and visible to mortal eyes.
So if everything, the mishva'ah, the equation goes like that. If everything comes from God, and God is loving and good, then everything is good. And we dealt with it in another class. Once upon a time, there was a rabbi, a conservative rabbi, that wrote a book about why do bad things happen to good people.
Rabbi Harold Kushner.
And Rabbi Kushner had a great tragedy, and Hashem shouldn't test us. And he lost a child at a certain point in his life. And in dealing with it, he wrote that book. And I think he came to a conclusion that bad does not come from God. Either bad comes from people or from circumstances that are unfortunate, but it cannot be that God is good, he says.
Well, then if he takes that position, then God is not more powerful.
Right.
But that's not.
Right. If God is all powerful, everything comes from God, and God is only good, so everything that you get is good. And that's what it says here. That's our equation. I don't know any other way. But I'm saying the other ways to put the equation is either God is good and not everything comes from God, or God is good and bad. He has bad days. And everything comes from Him. So either or, but our equation, if we believe that God created the world and everything comes from Him and He is good, so everything is good. we don't feel that way. We have good days and bad days. This is good, revealed good, and this is good in disguise. This is a hidden good. That's what it says here. פירשו בגמרא לקבול בשמחה. מה זה לקבל בשמחה את הרע? כמו שמחת הטובה הנראית והנגלית, כי גם זו לטובה, רק שאינה נגלית ונראית לעיני בשר. So it's not revealed good. So this is the statement here, that there's good that is revealed and good that is not revealed. Now, is it a problem? That's very understood. Again, because we're dealing with a spiritual master of the universe, we don't try to understand everything that is good. As we always say, you want to understand God? I don't understand God. You know, people come to me, I don't understand God. So that's a compliment, I tell them. If you would understand God, I wouldn't want to associate with such a God that is so well understood by a simple person like me and you. If he is a little bit leaving us with question, it means that he has some higher level of operating. At this point, this is what we're putting on the table. And it is God that everything comes from God, and God is all good, and we need to bless the bad as well as the good, because the bad is bad only in our eyes. It's revealed bad, but it's hidden good. And Akol Tova is the next story. So go ahead and read it. You looked in? Text 5, a story from the Talmud and about Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva comes from, he was I think the son of converts, and he started learning Torah at a later age. And Rabbi Akiva, 40.
He was a shepherd. That's what I learned.
It's an unbelievable story. If you want to tell us a little bit the story.
He was a shepherd by Ben Kalba Savua, was a rich person in Yerushalayim. And Rachel, his daughter, she liked Rabbi Akiva. She saw the guy's kindness and goodness with him, but he's a shepherd. So she wanted to marry him, and his father says, no, you deserve Hatan Gadol, and not a shepherd. But nevertheless, she insisted. And Rabbi Akiva himself, the Talmud says, one time he was in the field, and he saw that there is a water dripping from the mountain down, and he made a hole in the rock, in the stone. And he
Tick, tack, and the stone became caved in.
So he said, what if water, which is very soft and not hard, can make a hole in the hardest thing in the rock because of its consistency? And so the Torah, which is much stronger than water, can definitely penetrate my mind and my heart, which is not a rock. And then he took himself that he's going to study Torah. And he studied Torah for 40 years. He came back with 12 years. He went to study, came back with 12,000 students. And his wife heard that he's coming, she went to greet him. And the students didn't see what this lady wants to see the rabbi, they didn't let her go.
The whole city came out to greet the greatest leader of the generation.
I missed the point. They said that someone told her, but your husband was away, and for so many years they didn't see him. He's coming back with 12,000 students. But she said, I wouldn't mind for double the time, and we'll bring more students. And he went and he came back later with 24,000 students. And when she came to greet them and they stopped her, Rabbi Akiva says, let her, because שלכם ושלי, שלה. Yours and mine, all the Torah that we acquire together is really wrong term.
Wow.
So Rabbi Akiva, he married Rachel, the daughter of Kalba Savua, that was the richest person in Jerusalem, that he cut her off. He says, you're going with the shepherd, you're not getting anything from me. So she was very poor. Then her father comes to the big rabbi to talk to him. So he asks him, what do you want to ask me? So he says, listen, my daughter went with a shepherd and she married him. And I told her, I made a vow that I'm cutting her off from all my riches. But now I hear that her husband left her and she's all by herself, living in cleaning houses, doing things that to bring, bread to her children. So I want to nullify go back on my vow. How can I go back? How can I be matir the neder? So he told him, if this shepherd would have been me, would you make that vow? So he says, no, I wish to have a son-in-law like you, like a rabbi, like a teacher. That was my dream. So you got it. I am that Akiva, the shepherd. So it ended up in a good way. But Rabbi Akiva he worked on himself. And part of the story is this story that we're going to read now in text 5. Talmud Brachot. Go ahead.
Teaching attributes to Rabbi Akiva. We should make a habit of constantly declaring whatever God does is for the best. This is illustrated by an incident in which Rabbi Akiva was traveling and he arrived at a certain city. He shouted loading.
Logic.
He sought lodging.
A place to sleep. He was looking for a place to sleep.
Okay. Sorry. For the night. But no one was willing to host him. Whatever God does is for the best, said Rabbi Akiva. And he went to sleep for the night in the field. He had a rooster, a donkey, and a candle. A sudden gust of wind
Extinguish the candle.
his candle. Then a wild cat ate his rooster. Then a lion
Devoured.
devoured his donkey. Whatever God does is for the best, Rabbi Akiva told himself. During that night, an army attacked the city, taking all its residents captive. Rabbi Akiva later recounted this experience and told his students, "Did I not tell you, whatever God does is for the best?"
Okay. So you want to hear me telling the story? Because it's a bad night story that I used to tell my children. Shall I do it? Rabbi Akiva was traveling from place to place, and he had a donkey that does ee-ah, ee-ah, or in English they go
Hee-haw.
ee-haw. Okay. And he had a rooster. The rooster was waking him up in the morning, and it goes cuckoo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Okay. And he had a candle. He had a candle for studying Torah. He saw from far the sun is setting and there's a small village. So he was knocking on one door. Who is this? This is me, Rabbi Akiva. What do you want? I want a place to sleep. There's no place to sleep here. Shut the door on his face. Was Rabbi Akiva crying? No. Because everything that Hashem does is
For the best.
good. He knocked to another door. Who is this? He says, this is me, Rabbi Akiva. Oh, what do you want? I want a place to sleep. I'm sorry, there's only one bed in this house and it's mine. Shut the door in his face. Was Rabbi Akiva crying?
No, of course not.
Because everything that Hashem does is
Comes a little, everything
Good.
for the best.
beautiful. And at another one. So Rabbi Akiva didn't have a choice. He went to the field and he slept in the forest between the trees. He gave a little bit of food to the rooster and made him a place to sleep. And the rooster ate the food and was very happy. Cocorico, cock-a-doodle-doo. He gave the donkey some food and made him a place to sleep, and he was happy. And Rabbi Akiva sat to learn with the candle that he had. All of a sudden, a big wind comes by and puts out the candle. Was Rabbi Akiva sad? No, because everything that Hashem does is
For the best.
good. So he said, I have no choice. I'll go to sleep. I have no candle. I cannot learn. He went to sleep. All of a sudden, a fox comes and catches his rooster and takes him away. I don't say what he did to him. And the rooster is crying, "Cocorico, cocorico, cocorico." God. Was Rabbi Akiva crying?
No.
Because everything that Hashem does is good. All of a sudden came a jaguar out of the field and caught the donkey. And the donkey was screaming, "Ee-ah, ee-ah, ee-ah." Take away the donkey. Now Rabbi Akiva doesn't have neither the candle, nor the rooster, nor the donkey. He's all by himself, neither a place to sleep. Was Rabbi Akiva crying? No, because everything that Hashem does is
For the best.
very good. So, and then he goes to sleep. And a few hours later, he hears a bunch of hooligans. Whatever looks to you like it's bad is really good. And not only that you're accepting it, you are happy with it because it's good. On the third take that we just learned that this is the ultimate good, the bad that looks to you bad is really the ultimate good, then the take is that there's no bad in the world, and whatever looks to you like bad, it's really good, but it's not only good that you accept because it is like a birth of a child, it's worth it. You are happy, you're looking forward to it because it's a higher form of good. I don't want candies. Stop treating me like a baby. If you'll do this, I'll give you a candy. Mommy, I graduated. I'm older. I don't want candies. Give me money. So this is the higher one. In text 9, if you mean, that's a continuation of the Tanya right there.
Going back to the story with Rabbi Rivka.
Yes, that's probably.
How does it continue?
No, it doesn't say that. But that this world is better than all. The Admor HaZaken, the author of the Tanya, laid in his deathbed before he passed away. He was laying in a very small village in terrible condition. He looked at the ceiling and he said, I don't see the ceiling. I don't see the roof. I see only God, the words of God that make it alive. And then he said, God, I don't want you world to come. I don't want you Gan Eden. I don't want you heaven. I want only you yourself. So it's like, Rabbi Yossi says, it's like giving up all the pleasures and wanting to be part of God, which is the highest good.
Who said that?
Rabbi Shneur Zalman, the author of the Tanya.
The Rebbe?
Yes. Text 9, Rabbi Yossi, if you may.
השמחה היא מאהבתו, קרבת השם יותר מכל חיי העולם הבא. כדכתיב, כי טוב חסדך מחיים, בתהילים. וקרבת השם היא ביתר שאת ומעלה לאין קץ בעלמא דאיטקסיה. Which means,
יותר ברור באנגלית.
the joy a personal experience due to suffering. So the person that goes through and you say is still joy is a consequence of one's desiring God's closeness more than anything offered by life in this world. Because that is ultimate good. as it's written in Tehillim, for your loving kindness is dearer than life, the kindness of Hashem. And the nearness of God is infinitely stronger and more sublime in the Eden world. So the English is a little more understood.
So-
I'm not sure.
Okay, what is David HaMelech had to run away for his life because he was chased away by the people of the king. King Shaul wanted to kill David. Why did he want to kill David? Because David posed a threat to him. He was actually his son-in-law, in a way. He married his daughter Michal. But he chased him, and he had to run and hide in the Midbar of the southern part of Israel. And now this is a very hot place, and there's only little bit of water there. And he says like that, Sam'a lecha nafshi, kama lecha besari, be'eretz tsiya ve'ayef bli mayim. Ken b'kodesh chazitecha. So he, as a parable, King David says, my soul is yearning to you, and my flesh is wanting to see you like a thirsty person in the desert. And then he says, and I wish that when I'll have water, I wish when I come to the place of inhabitants, I should yearn the same way. Because your goodness and kindness is better than the simple life. צמא לך נפשי, קמה לך בשרי, בארץ צייה ואצל מוות, כן בקודש חזיתיך, is a song that the Rebbe sang. And he sang it because I think he taught that nigun, the Rebbe taught this nigun. And what it says is that we have plentifulness. Water is not a problem. Light is not a problem. We have everything that we need. But when a person is in a desert and he is already 2 days without water and he feels that this is the last drop and he's yearning for a cup of water, is a special feeling. And that tzimaon is a pleasure. An appreciation of the cup of water is second to none. You cannot compete with it. And he says, God, I want to have a relationship with you that I will yearn. I will have a tzimaon, a thirst to unite with you. And it's in everything in life. When we have, if we don't get hungry enough before we come home to appreciate the food, it tastes different. A good husband will not eat anything until he comes home, because his wife can tell if he really appreciates that or he's just being polite. And it is a real thing. It is very meaningful. Food, the pleasure of eating, is not about what you cooked. It's about when you need it. And if there's not a desire, the pleasure is different. It's halfway, maybe not even. So you cannot compare a cup of water to somebody that drinks and drinks and he says, oh, the doctor told me to drink another cup, and he shoves it down his throat. It's the same drinking than a person that is really hot and sweating in the desert and is looking for that cup. There's no greater pleasure than a simple cup of water. King David says, I want my relationship to you to be, it's in a way suffering. It's a way, again, it is imposing upon yourself pain. What for? Why to be a little hungry before I come home? Why to be thirsty before I drink the cup of water? Because the pleasure is in the thirst. The pleasure is in the yearning. The pleasure is and it's a greater pleasure than having it itself. Everything in this world, kol ta'anugei olam hazeh, the pleasure is in your mind before you have it. When you have it, it's okay. You got it. And after you have it, maybe a stomach ache, and if not a stomach ache, then it's okay. It's not felt. Nothing exists after. A real pleasure is in the mind. It's in the spirit. It's in you before you have it. The imagination of the pleasure is more than the pleasure itself. And if you're satisfied, then it's taken away. You don't have that yearning. So the good in this world is by yearning to it rather than having it. Text 10, Ribono Shel Olam, if you made, it's a song with Hasidim. Ribono Shel Olam, go ahead. Text 10. I'm sorry, Mirav.
I'll read it in English, because Yiddish is not my best.
Okay, I thought it is, I'm sorry. You'll read 10 if you may.
Okay. Master of the universe, I'd like to sing you a song all about you. Master of the universe, I'd like to play you a melody all about you. Where are you to be found, O God? Where are you not to be found, O God? Up, there you are. Down, that's you. To the east, it's you. To the west, you. To the north, you. To the south, you. You. When things are good, that's you. And when they're not, that's also you. But since it's you, it is good. You.
Sounds like my daughter.
Wow. Wow.
You.
You are the you.
She's the you.
Go ahead, text 11.
To say this is two for the best is hardly the same
Text
thing.
11.
Text 11.
This is Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. He's a great Hasidic thinker in our time, lives in Jerusalem, and may he have a speedy recovery. He had also a stroke a few years ago. He's still writing, but not as much as he did before. Go ahead.
To say this is two for the best is hardly
Yes.
the same thing as superficial optimism. It is a recognition of the reality of pain and evil in an attempt to get to the root of suffering, to go beyond the fact that everything bad has something good in it, and that salvation often emerges from tribulation. There is no longer any consideration of the ultimate profit or hidden goodness in the reality of suffering. Besides, what kind of release or consolation resides in the thought that the pain will pass? One who is in agony of body or spirit can hardly be made to feel better by philosophic or religious ideas. The Jew who sincerely faces suffering does not seek an accounting with God, but does not reproach divine justice or defend his own innocence, nor does he seek ways of reaping some advantage. He relates entirely to the present, to which is now, not to what was in the past, or what is liable to be in the future. No solace is sought or vain imaginings. If God wills it, the situation will improve. Otherwise, it's none of my business. The argument is that since suffering is something that comes from God, it is the nature of a gift, or at least something that is given. Because, to be sure, not everything that is given can at first sight be recognized as something positive. And this takes a lot of time, a great deal of tumultuous repudiation, before one reaches a relatively peaceful state of equilibrium.
Go ahead. Can you say it in your own words?
Really? Not exactly. I think it's...
What it says is that living the moment is really not saying, now I experience something bad, but I'm waiting for it to pass, and then it'll be good, because you lost that moment. Living in the moment means that you celebrate and you find a pleasure in the pain, in the suffering, in the thirst, in the process itself. It's only because you're able to shift to the other side of your soul, the soul that is the one that is selfless, that is godly soul. When a person God gave us a body and put into the body a part of Him. The part of Him is spiritual, the body is physical. Now, we can think that maybe they could live in peace, which means the body will be taken care of and the soul will be taken care of. But the truth is, for some reason, and it's not the time to talk about it, it's a seesaw. When the body is up, the soul is down. When the soul is up, the body is down. There's not two ways about it. Why? Because the body covers the soul. The body covers the soul. When the body is broken to pieces, the soul shines through. When the body is mighty and strong and happy and everything is in place, the soul shrinks because it's covered so much and it's not seen. So you see people that suffer. I don't know, I don't want to talk about it, but the nicest writing is for a woman that suffered, she was fighting the terrible disease, and she wrote poems and philosophy about accepting life or celebrating the moment or enjoying the time, the limited time that she knew she had. And all of a sudden, the world looked in a different way. She had everything before, and she should have been the happiest. And she says that now in the morning when she gets up and sees a ray of sun coming through the window, it is like a ray of gold. Only then, for some reason. Why? Why do we have to wait until everything else breaks down for us to appreciate how much good we have? And in the moment is good. And it's not about later, it's about now. So a woman that is wise and has a delivery, so one says, I'm so scared, let me have an injection, let me not experience the pain. And a woman that is really brave, I don't want to say, but she gave birth at home, no, so natural. No, this week, it's unbelievable. So I'm just saying.
Who did that?
Sydney gave birth at home. Huh?
I'm too scared.
Huh?
I'm too scared for it.
I know. I'm not supposed to say it. Now it's recorded. It's on. I'll have
But
to.
Hashem, we live in an area that if
Okay.
if something goes wrong, you can be in an ambulance in 2 minutes to the hospital.
Okay, I see that. I understand.
This is not the issue. The issue is that we have to. It's an attitude about pain and suffering.
Right.
And somebody can celebrate that, that's where we want to be. And now I think we understand Rabbi Zusha. Rabbi Zusha wasn't oblivious, and he wasn't passive, and he wasn't talking himself into, and he knew that other people have it good. But he didn't put them down, but wasn't the level of his perspective of what's good. And celebrating what he has is real good. It's a celebration. May Hashem not try us and not test us and give us only revealed good. We are very weak students, and we don't want to be tested because we'll fail. And He's not going to give it to us because He knows our capacity. But these people were great in that they could take and took and enjoyed that level of pressure. Shabbat Shalom.